Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who do not know, my name is Peyton. This is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my adventure through dental school. I am in my first year. I just finished up midterms week. A video I've really wanted to film is how much I actually study during the week. A lot of people, you know, they say that your entire life will be studying. You're only going to be able to do that. You're going to spend 24/7 thinking about school. And like when they're like, you study a lot, I wanted to show you what a lot is. So this is how much I studied during my midterms week. I also included how much time I spent in class per day because I think that's important. So I'm going to take you day by day with what I studied, how long I studied, and then kind of just talk about studying in dental school. This is obviously during midterms week, so it is a little bit of a heavier week. If you guys want to see a week where it's less busy, like I only have one exam. This week I had a midterm on Wednesday, a quiz on Thursday, and a midterm on Friday. So it wasn't the busiest week. Actually, next week is busier. I have 2 quizzes and 2 exams. So I have a quiz on Tuesday. I might have a pop quiz on Wednesday, honestly. I have a quiz on Thursday, a midterm on Thursday, and then an exam on Friday. So it just kind of depends on the week and what's going on, and also what classes. I spend a lot more time studying for anatomy and biochem than I do for dental anatomy because I just have more experience with dental anatomy, so I understand a little bit easier, and it's also just more straightforward. But yes, I'm going to take you through every day what I did, so let's get into it and start with Monday. Okay guys, so for Monday, I think this is one of the most times that I've studied for this week. It was a pretty heavy week. So I spent 6 hours in class, and I tried to be realistic because technically I'm scheduled to be in class for 7 hours, but I'm like trying to let you know if I got out of class early or not. So I had my integrated biomaterials class, and normally that goes 8 to noon, but I got out around 11. And then I had 2 hours of biochem and 1 hour of anatomy, and those never get done early because they use all the time for the lectures. But so with that, I studied all day for craniofacial oral development because I had a midterm for that on Wednesday, and I was very scared for it. So I spent from 11 to 12:20 rewatching a lecture for an hour. From 5 to 5:30, I rewatched parts of a lecture, and that was 30 minutes. And then from 6:45 to 7:45, I worked on flashcards. And then from 8 p.m. to midnight, I worked for 5 hours straight. It was brutal on making study materials for the exam. So for Monday, my grand total was 6 hours and 30 minutes of studying and 6 hours of class time for a total of 12 hours and 30 minutes spent on dental school. So Monday was a rough day. Then we go on to Tuesday. And Tuesday I spent, again, 6 hours in class time. I had craniofacial oral development from 8 to 9. From 9 to 10 I was in dental anatomy, but we got out an hour early. Normally that's till 11. And then from 11 to 12 I had histology lecture. And then I had a 2-hour anatomy lab from 3 to 5. Sorry, there's a hair on my mouth. So 6 hours of class time. Was that right? 1, 2, 3. No, only 5 hours. 5 hours. It's supposed to be 6 hours, but it ended up only being 5. So then I spent from 10 to 11 going through my Quizlet for craniofacial when I got done with dental anatomy. I spent 3 hours at the library with a group studying for craniofacial. That was from 6:30 to 9:30. Then I came home, and at 10:30 I spent an hour and a half going through my own materials by myself. So I spent 5.5 hours studying, 5 hours in class, for a total of 10 hours and 30 minutes on school. Wednesday through the rest of the week is a little bit more realistic, I think. Thursday was a bit rough, but like there's always one day that's rough of the week because of just the way that it works. I pretty much have an exam every Friday, and so Thursday nights are always pretty rough. But we're on Wednesday right now, so Wednesday was a lot more variety but less time studying. So from 7, okay, so I spent 3 hours in class. That was it. I only have 3 hours, well technically I guess I'll say like 3.5, because I had 30 minutes where I did the craniofacial midterm at 9 a.m. and then I had biochem and anatomy in the afternoon. I get Wednesday mornings off, which is really, really nice. That won't be the case for the rest of dental school, but they like to ease us in. So from 7:30 to 8, I did some last minute review for craniofacial for 30 minutes. Then my brain had to switch after that to integrated biomaterials for my midterm on Friday. From 9:45 to 10:30, which is right after I got home, I spent about 45 minutes reviewing and going over making the Quizlet for integrated biomaterials. Then I switched to histology from 10:30 to 11 for 30 minutes to rewatch a lecture. And then back to integrated from 12:20 to 12:50 for 30 minutes to make more Quizlets. And then I spent another hour and 15 minutes making Quizlets. And then I spent an hour working on histo to go through lab slides from 7 to 8. And then I lost all motivation and I did not do anything else. So I spent 4.5 hours studying on Wednesday and about 3.5 hours in class for a total of, I don't want to mess up the math, 8 hours? 8 hours. So that's not too bad. I probably could have studied for histo a little bit more. Still got a very fine grade. Thankfully, there are only 10 questions, and if you kind of keep up on the material, you're pretty fine. Normally, I would have liked to study for, I spent an hour and a half studying. So I would have liked to spend 1 hour more the night before, but as you'll see when we go into Thursday, I made up for it. Okay, so for Thursday, I spent 4 hours in class. I had about from 8 to 10 in histo, which normally goes 8 to 12, but once you start the lab, you can kind of go through it on your own. And then I have a dental anatomy lab from 1 to 5, but we were doing our lab practical. So that's true. This past week I also had a lab practical. So I did that. It took me about 2 hours, so I got done at 3. So I spent 4 hours in class. And then for studying wise, I made up for not studying for histo the morning of Thursday because I had not been sleeping great because I was so worried about my craniofacial quiz. No, midterm, not a quiz, that I hadn't been sleeping great. So I went to bed early on Wednesday and woke up at 5:30 to study for an hour for histo. Then the rest of the day was on integrated biomaterials so I could prep for the midterm. So I spent an hour from 10:30 to 11:30, 2.5 hours from 3 to 5:30, 7 to 7:30 for 30 minutes, and then 10 to 11:30 for an hour and 30. So I spent 6 hours and 30 minutes studying that day. And basically all I was doing was just finishing up my Quizlet, going through study guide materials, going through Quizlets, just all that stuff. And so that was a total of 10 hours and 30 minutes spent on dental school for Thursday. Okay, so Friday is my favorite day of the week because I'm done at noon most times, if not earlier, because once you start working on your project for integrated biomaterials, once you finish, you are free to leave. So normally I get done at like 10:30, 11 on Fridays. This week we did have a stress class from 1 to 2, but because we had the midterm, I was done at about 8. Well, it started at 8, I was done at like 8:30. So I had a huge break, which was very nice, but I was so tired from this week and I wanted to spend some time with friends, so I kind of like to take Fridays easy if I can, and I definitely did this week. So I want to be realistic, I'm not going to fake numbers. I spent 2 hours in class. I had basically the 1 hour for the midterm and I had 1 hour for a stress management module. I studied for 2 hours and 20 minutes total. I spent from 6 a.m. to 7:20 a.m. studying for integrated as a final review, and then I spent about 1 hour looking over anatomy stuff, and then I decided I was done for the day. And I went to a bonfire with friends, I went out for drinks with some friends from college, so I guess that is the main reason I wanted to make this video, because I really think that there's this impression that when you are in school that the only thing that you should be doing is school. And I personally strongly disagree. If that is something you want to do, if you want to make school your entire priority, that is totally fine. But for me personally, I have so many interests. I have so many likes that I have in my life. And I went to college and I was told that I would have to stop doing theater because I wanted to go into a career in the science field. So it was time to end my theater career in high school. And then I proved them wrong. And I did about I participated in 30 shows in my 4 years and got a theater minor. And so I have always been the kind of person where I refuse to let my career ambitions, and dental school is my passion. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not passionate about what I do, because truly, like, I love dentistry so much. It is so important to me, but that doesn't mean that I have to forget everything else in my life. I know a lot of people in my class especially who have just, you know, spent their entire, they don't go out with us, they don't have time to spend with their friends, they've actually broken up with significant others because they want to just focus on school. And I decided day one that that is not what I wanted to do. I would rather be an average student, which average in our class is like a B or a B plus A minus. That is average in our class. Like, I still put in lots of work. I have good grades. I have above average grades, but I'm not going to sacrifice my life and my well-being and my sanity just so that I can be the top of my class. And that's something that's very important to me. So as you can tell, I spend a lot of time studying, but on Friday, I didn't do anything. Yesterday, I'm filming this on Sunday. Saturday, I barely did anything. I spend a lot of my weekends working on YouTube videos because that makes me happy. I spend a lot of my weekends spending time with friends because I need an outlet that's not school. So I just want you to know that you don't have to sacrifice everything for school if you don't want to. If you want to, that is totally fine. Go for it. But don't feel like when you start dental school or professional school that you can not have a life anymore, because I would hate to see that happen. You don't have to give up other passions and hobbies just because you're in school. Okay, that is all. That's my little rant. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want me to do a lighter week in dental school, or if you want me to do this again during finals, or for example, just, you know, if you have any ideas, let me know. I want to show as much of dental school as I can to you. And like I said, I hope that you'll stick around because I like to think we have a lot of fun here. I personally love it. So yeah, you should definitely join our fam, stick around, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.